I'm Is. Over there's some fan art, and there's a challenge I decided to make, cause why not? Ah. Anyway, this will be a little bit different. It's actually going to be a theory video. A theory about a man with two souls. Perhaps it's not Adam. And this is actually rather interesting. It's something I've been having for about a week now. And it explains a couple really weird things, and there's a couple things that came to mind this last day that really kind of stuck it. Anyway, there's been theories about Salem and Ozpin being the same race, whether gods, some demi-beings, some wizards, some immortals. However, here's a slightly different take on it. What if they were actually two souls in one body? It explains a lot of what goes on, and you don't see both at the same time, so let's get, using less vague and more realistic things. Cinder and Ozpin talk to each other at both the beginning of the series and towards the end. And they actually have a conversation. They seem to have a conversation more than just, them monologuing at each other. And I seriously doubt there's a CCT on what I presume is the Dragon Continent for them to be using a scroll or some other form of communication. Now, I don't know if they share knowledge or current knowledge between each other or not. However, I am almost certain Salem knows who RWBY is now. Ozpin's been stalking RWBY, from before she went to his school. Why else would he have close-up video of her fight with his thugs? From Chapter 1, Ruby Rose. There was actually some fairly close video from that. Ozpin's always stalking her, always right behind her, recording her, and I'll come back to that in a minute. Continuing on, remember during their initiation, or rather the night before, Ozpin seemed distracted. We still don't have a definite reason why, and perhaps this was it. He was trying not to let Salem or her personality surface. Here's one of the main, now coming up is one of the main things I feel supports this fairly well and explains so very much if it's true. The battle for Beacon. Now, little background to catch you up, and what I'm talking about is RWBY versus Roman. After Neo went sailing away like a Styx album, Roman on his own is perfectly capable of beating RWBY. Cinder has also been shown to be able to control the Grim, not just the dragon, but for instance the Ursa, going aboard the aircraft without trying to destroy it, and the Grim not attacking her allies such as the White Fang. Now, someone always following behind RWBY, making sure she wasn't getting into too much danger. That Griffin saved RWBY. There's no question about that. She was not going to survive, even if Roman wasn't angry. Unlike Cinder, Roman has shown no compunction about finishing off an enemy, like we saw with Sun in Volume 1. However, the Griffin nommed on Roman, one of Cinder's allies who was safe from Grim attacks up to that point. No other Grim bothered them. Why? It would have to have been directed by someone with more authority than Cinder. Someone always looking out for RWBY, always watching her, always knowing when she would be in trouble. And while Salem has authority over the Grim, Ozpin is always looking out for RWBY. So, in Ozpin's control of the Grim, or was he using Salem's influence? However, that also explains, potentially what happened to Ozpin. Did he really get beat in the fight with Cinder? And why would he charge directly at Cinder after we've shown he's perfectly capable of dodging and dealing with her afterwards? I think he was actually trying to immolate or potentially destroy himself or push him out of somewhere to prevent Salem from surfacing, though that's not entirely concrete, and so the idea of why he decided to charge her is something to look into later, but that may give some glimpse into why. Now, but apparently Salem was released, and so Cinder had no reason to continue the fight. And it also explains how Cinder would have been able to escape from the whooping at RWBY's hands, which apparently was very, very one-sided. Salem rescued her, then brought Cinder, Mercury, and Emerald with her to the base, and explains why we haven't dealt with the other three major villains, as Salem wasn't completely free to act. Now, sure, there are a number of possible points against this, one of which being who is Cinder talking to in beginning of the end. One possibility certainly is Neo. We really know only three things about her. She is attached to Roman, she's a very skilled fighter, and works with, not necessarily for Cinder, which may be because of Roman. However, we don't know her voice, why or for what reason she's mute, where she's from. She may have been a disciple of Salem before, directed by someone higher up or one of the other villains. Salem might actually even be middle management still. She may not be the top, though that's a little less likely. There were some empty scenes at the Council of Justice in Chapter 1 of Volume 4, though, and she may have been talking or communicating with one of them. There are a number of things that this can go from, but we don't have enough information yet, and that's not really the point of this theory. Now, a reason I'm recording this is for easier access to a record of when I did it, and I want others to think, and honestly, I want your opinion. I think it'll be interesting to see what other people think about this. So, I'm Ozpin, and have a good day. Anyway, the Storytime family is a group of 2 or 3 that react to things. Mostly they've been doing RWBY. They finally caught up with RWBY. They've also done Steven Universe, and I believe Gravity Falls and a few other really neat things. So, give them a watch and see what you think for yourself. Bye! Sorry about that. Leon. Hello everybody. Now,